Here are the topics that will be covered in the US pressure groups revision video. This video will focus on the power that pressure groups have. In the US, pressure groups are big business. The total federal lobbying revenue in 2016 amounted to just over $3.1 billion. Clients will spend hundreds of billions of dollars on grassroots lobbying, public relations, consulting, strategic advice, and many other forms of lobbying that make up the Washington lobbying sector. It is hardly surprising then that pressure groups have had a significant impact on a number of policy areas. We're going to break down these areas that pressure groups have been the most effective. Let's start by looking at environmental protection. Towards the end of the 19th century, after industrialization and westward expansion were well underway, there was a shift towards environmental conservation, and it became a major concern. The Sierra Club was founded in 1892, and this was followed by the Wilderness Society and the National Wildlife Federation. These groups were behind the push towards stricter laws for environmental protection and will doubtless be at the forefront of any opposition to the Trump administration's attempt to scale back on environmental protection laws. Then we have women's rights as an area where pressure groups have been effective. Groups such as the League of Women's Voters and NOW have pushed unsuccessfully for the passage of an Equal Rights Amendment to the Constitution in the 1970s and 80s. They remain active in US politics, campaigning on issues such as equal pay and job opportunities for women. Women's groups have also been involved in the push to increase the amount of women being elected to Congress with pressure groups like Emily's List. Abortion rights is also an area where pressure groups have been highly effective. Both pro-choice and pro-life lobbies have been active in US politics. Since 1973 Roe versus Wade decision, pro-choice pressure groups have fought to preserve the constitutional right of women to have an abortion, whereas pro-life groups have fought to have it both narrowed and overturned. When Congress initially tried to ban partial abortions, President Clinton vetoed the bill once in 1996 and again in 1997. And in 2000, the Supreme Court refused to allow the states to ban this type of abortion. George W. Bush had signed a partial birth abortion ban into law. The Supreme Court in 2007 upheld this ban. In pursuing their respective agendas, both sides in the debate have lobbied the Senate over presidential judicial appointments, most especially those to the Supreme Court. Gun control is a highly contested area where pressure groups are both effective and ineffective. The National Rifle Association is arguably one of the most powerful pressure groups in US politics, with its membership currently standing at around 3 million. It was formed in 1871 as a group dedicated to teaching Americans how to use guns. Since the 1960s, however, it has been influential in stopping what it sees as an encroachment on citizens' rights to own and use legal firearms. It also works to oppose tougher gun control laws put forward at any level of government. The NRA opposed the Brady Bill and the assault weapons ban, as well as laws requiring background checks on those purchasing guns and the mandatory sale of trigger locks with handguns. It played a significant role in the Supreme Court case of District of Columbia versus Heller in 2018. There is the pluralist/elitist perspective on group power that we must take into account. The pluralist argument takes a positive view for pressure groups, with governments responding to the legitimate activities of groups, speaking on behalf of citizens' views and interests between elections, which then disperses power within the state. Whereas the elitist arguments take a more critical view of pressure group activity, claiming there is no level pressure group field and power is concentrated in the hands of economic and corporate interest groups, who can influence the government more easily.